Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some Spartan Bowl gameplay. Now, usually, I don't like to bring the same gameplay to my channel twice in a row, the same playlist and game type, etc. That's not something that I like to do, but Spartan Bowl, seeing as it's a limited time playlist, I've actually been playing it a ridiculous amount because I wanted to make the most of it whilst it was out. Funnily enough, with temporary playlists, I actually think they're a really cool idea for certain game types, Spartan Bowl being one of them. You know, if you were to get your CSR up in this playlist and play harder and harder players all the time, this would be a terrible playlist for that. It would be awful, but in terms of playing bad players, it's very, very fun. So, you know, it seems like this playlist is about to go away just as it's becoming less fun for me. And I could honestly say the same about Team DLC. You know, Team DLC, when it first came out, it was an amazingly good time. A lot of people actually came on, and I got to play maps against a varying degree of skilled players. Whereas now, it's becoming almost like a throwdown playlist where 200 people are playing it, they know the maps inside out, and it gets a little bit frustrating in my opinion when I just, you know, a lot of those maps are almost on the casual side, maps like Perdition, and Harvest CTF, Harvest Slayer, etc. You know, they're just having a bit of fun with vehicles, but when you get players in there, like, literally trying so hard to maintain their CSR and their KDs, etc., not really the most fun, in my opinion. And I know some people are going to say, oh yeah, but I want a permanent DLC playlist. What I want is an allocated spot for DLC playlists to come back every 2 months or every 1.5 months, etc. I do want it to be a regular occurrence, but I don't want it to be there the whole time. I just want it to be a presence, because otherwise it does get frustrating. And I think it should reset the CSRs, or even not have a CSR. One of the things that frustrates me about Halo is like how just certain playlists have to have a CSR. I mean, sorry, every playlist has to have a CSR, and there's certain playlists that do not fit into that mold. And it really, really grinds my gears, to be honest, because, you know, Spartan Bowl. Do I want a CSR in this playlist? No, I absolutely do not. I want to play idiots. I want to have fun. I want to go into their spawn and just be a jerk. But I suppose, you know, the opposite end of that argument is that the casual players don't want to be absolutely destroyed by random semi-MLG pros, and the game needs to protect them from those terrorists like me who try to ruin their lives. You know, I think my psychopathic tendencies come out in this game type, to be honest, because I feel absolutely no remorse. If anything, if I see pain in their eyes, it encourages me to destroy them further. So it's very bad. It's something I need to work on, but at the same time, then I wouldn't be able to bring you guys gameplays. So, you know, carry on urging on my psychotic tendencies, and maybe I'll get better gameplays for you guys. Don't know what I'm talking about right now, but anyway, you know, right now, I'm looking forward to the Xbox One generation and the PS4, next gen in general, you know, getting started for real this time, because honestly, you know, when it actually started, when the Xbox One released, it was one of the worst launches I've ever seen. And the reason I say it was so bad is because, you know, the Xbox One went on 2 years longer than previous console generations have gone on. So it felt more like we'd been waiting for a really long time, and it was like, we finally got to the next console. And then when it came out, it was uber disappointing. And to say the least, to be honest, you know, right now my Xbox One is sitting next to me and it is gathering dust. I actually plugged it in the other day and tried to talk to my friend on it, and my mic had broken for no reason, and I honestly think it was something to do with just like never using it, and maybe it was on the floor one day and got crushed, but it was just like, I don't know, it just doesn't work. I was just like, and the mic quality, can I just talk about the mic for the Xbox One? It's absolutely awful. It's one of the worst microphones I've ever seen. Like, PS4 kind of put Xbox to shame in that sense, because they let you, you know, plug in any mic that you want. The Xbox mic is terrible. The wire is very long. It's very easy to tangle, and it looks like if you put scissors up to it and just like, you know, just gently brush the scissors against that wire, it would just cut instantly. That's how, like, poor quality it looks like. I do hear that they're making a Turtle Beach for it, and I'm sure Astros will get to work on something ASAP. Whatever, different topic for a different day. But at the end of the day, the Xbox One, you know, when I look at the game lineup on it right now, it is immensely disappointing. I think the game that's most worthwhile playing, as I mentioned before, is Battlefield 4. You do get some sense of a graphical improvement, the frames per second go up, and it does feel next-gen to some degree. It's quite exciting to play, but at the same time, there's not enough of a community base on there right now, because no other exciting games have come on there. there, and the fact that a lot of these players can just play Battlefield 4 on Xbox 360, there's been no game to initiate hype and to get people on and to get the Xbox One community fan base into gear. And I honestly think that's why the PS4 has beaten the Xbox One, because both games didn't have something that convinced people to come on and go, you know, oh, I need to put the money down and buy this console. Unless you were a super hardcore next-gen adopter, there was no reason. So they were just going to decide on price, let's be honest. Like, you know, I was even pretty close to doing that because the Xbox One price is pretty steep, and the UK get absolutely shafted on the exchange rates on that thing. So, yeah, pretty frustrating to say the least. But at the end of the day, you know, the Xbox One just needs to get to a start, and I think Titanfall Beta is when this ball is going to start rolling, and I'm really, really excited for it, because Titanfall Beta, we're going to get a really good chance to see what the game is like. I heard there's going to be 16 maps in Titanfall overall, so I'm kind of anticipating that the beta should hopefully have maybe 4, maybe even 5 if we're lucky, maps. What I really also don't hope that happens is because it's EA and because it's by... you know, they made Battlefield 4, and Battlefield 4 had quite a bit of problems. I'm hoping that the beta isn't like a disgrace and it gets overloaded by people, and then you don't get to play it hardly ever. But at the end of the day, I know a lot of my friends are moving to Xbox One, moving to next gen because of Titanfall. And a lot of people's counter-argument to this would be that you could play it on 360, but the company that is developing the Xbox 360 version of Titanfall, we have no real credit onto whether, you know, they're going to make a really good port for this game. I think I did hear that they've got a fairly, you know, pretty decent list of games that they've ported in the past, HD remakes, etc. But you never know. I mean, it's a pretty big game. It's going to be a pretty big deal in the grand scheme of things, and they've got a lot of stuff to port over. It seems like Titanfall is going to be pushing the system to the next level. Some of the maps are really big. Some of the animations are really exciting. The graphics aren't exactly mind-blowing or anything, but I do think hopefully it will use a lot of the Xbox's processing power that they've been talking about. But we'll just have to see. But, you know, at the end of the day, Xbox One needs a flagship game right now. It really does, because if it doesn't get it soon, it could turn out like the Wii U. You know, the Wii U just didn't have any games, and as a result, it horribly suffered. Wii U definitely had other problems alongside that, in that their branding of the Wii U was fairly terrible. But then again, you could probably argue the same of Xbox One. You know, the Xbox One, I still can't really get over how much of a mediocre name that really is. The 360, I suppose, wasn't too great, but... you know, at least it was fairly original, whereas Xbox One sounds exactly like what you'd call the original Xbox. In fact, I did used to call it the Xbox One, so it kind of annoys me that I've got to, like, keep remembering to call that the original Xbox, so it's a little bit stupid. But I've got to be honest, like, they just need to get on top of things. They need to, you know, make sure that the Xbox One is clearly worth purchasing to the average user. I'm not really sure. They seem to be in this weird status of, like, they don't want to leave the 360 behind straight away. They want to kind of carry on keeping people, like, incentivized to play it, and to make them think, oh yeah, even if you don't have the money to play Xbox One, it's still worth playing 360, don't worry. But at the same time, it's kind of affecting the next generation. And seeing as the this generation has gone on 2 years longer, I'm kind of ready to leave the old generation behind. And I know that sounds a little bit on the harsh side because, you know, some people just can't afford next gen. I remember 7 years ago when I had to buy the Xbox 360, I just did not have the money to do so, did not have the finances. So people want the 360 to be more viable. But, you know, I honestly think, like, if they want the Xbox One to really get momentum and really start gaining interest, they're going to have to pull out the stops with Titanfall and make the Xbox One version better, and I think that's probably what they will do. I feel like 360 will have game modes missing, will have matchups missing, and I think there'll definitely be some dip in content. I'd be very surprised if otherwise. I think it would be a bad business strategy to not have otherwise, because that could be the big, you know, telling point between, like, oh my gosh, you know, one of the most hyped games on Xbox One right now is far better to play on Xbox One. It's a far more enjoyable experience. So I have to move over. I'm going to have to start saving money, especially with Halo 5 around the corner as well. Titanfall's been a successful game. Now I've got to look into Halo 5. Because the longer they leave that and the longer, you know, the Xbox One doesn't look appealing, they are going to get into a similar problem to Wii U. Obviously not as drastic because Wii U was an unmitigated disaster. But having PS4 being this far ahead, I believe it's like 1 million or maybe even close to 2 million ahead in sales, that's not a very safe position, and it's not very secure. And it's been proven with the Nintendo Wii U that the longer you take to, you know, get that ball rolling, the more people start to forget about it, and the more people seem to be more disinterested with what that console provider or console manufacturer is bringing to the table. That's just my opinion on the matter, but there's a very good chance, guys, I have to admit, that I'm not going to be uploading Halo 4 for the next couple of weeks when the beta comes out. And then especially when the actual Titanfall game comes out, because I don't feel like I'd be expressing myself truthfully enough if I didn't come onto this channel and, you know, try and produce content on Titanfall, because that is a game that, you know, will take up a huge part of my interest. And although, yes, it will probably affect my channel, not for the better, it'll probably be a smarter idea to do Halo. You know, YouTube still is somewhat of a hobby for me, a hobby that I take seriously, but a hobby nonetheless, and you know, I want to be able to produce something that I love to play. And obviously when Halo 5 comes around and we get closer to Halo 5, or Halo 2 Anniversary, if it's Halo 2 Anniversary, you know, whatever happens, I'm probably going to be playing Titanfall up until that point. One more thing before I let the video play out. I advise you skip to the end of the video, because first off, this gameplay is going to finish off, and I want you guys to be able to see that if you want to. But if you don't really care about the gameplay, I advise you guys skip to the end, and you'll be able to see my new outro that Carl's Commentary just made for me. Now, Carl's Commentary, I think, is incredibly good commentator. He's raising subs at a extreme amount. He's on 400. I remember just like a month ago seeing him on a 200 or something like that. And it's because he's really good at marketing his channel. He's an incredibly good speaker. He's just really interesting to talk about Halo, and I think he's a very nice guy in my opinion. One of my favorite people to play Xbox with. One of my favorite people on YouTube, period. And I advise you guys go subscribe to him and check out his intro, because this outro, sorry, outro, not intro. This outro is really, really well made in my opinion, and I was super stoked when he showed it to me, because you know, I didn't even pay him for it. He just made it for free, and it was really great. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. I've been Monash Major. Thank you for watching. Peace.